When you stop for a second and listen to that inner voice that's inside of you that we all have, and it's screaming about this thing, this crazy thing that it's telling you to just go do. What if you went out and did it, and it not only changed your life, but also changed the lives of others around you? Now that's some motivation right there. For today's stranger, it's something she's quite proud of, and hopefully, her story will help you go do the thing. Hi, I'm Matt Hayes, and this is episode number 33 of Meet a Stranger. When I was in New York City a few weeks back, I stopped by a new place called Peoplehood. It's on West 17th in Chelsea. It's a unique space. It's a place for people to gather and share, connect, and learn how to listen and to be heard. It sounded right up my alley, and let's be honest, we all could use a little bit of a tune-up in our listening skills. I attended one of their Friday night sessions that's called a Gather, and ended up having a nice chat with the staff afterwards. The guide of our session had such a fascinating story of her own. When she was younger, she had this yearning to move out of her small town and build something bigger for herself in the city. Now that she's able to take a look back on her journey, she's realized that taking those big steps early on became more than just about herself. Take a listen. We were just having a conversation a bit ago about you and your family and how proud you are of what you've accomplished, but how it's kind of encouraging your family as well. Tell me a little bit about that again.
So I am first generation American, and a big part of my life is making sure that I pave a road for the generation after me, which is my sister's kids. I have 2 nieces and a nephew, and the way that I got to break out of my small town in California felt like it was for me, but later on I realized that it was very much so that I can show my nieces and nephew that there's a world outside of the small town that we grew up in California, and that there's a big world that they can explore and conquer. And I have a 17-year-old nephew that's going into college for linguistics. And he wants to study in Japan and Singapore and travel the world. Even just that thought makes me so proud to see him wanting to see the world and wanting to go out and to discover things that he may not be able to have access to in California.
I love that. When you made that decision to jump and kind of leave that bubble and kind of go do your own thing, what was that like? What were you feeling when you went through that?
It was so terrifying. I literally had someone, it was an ex-boyfriend of mine at the time, he stood in front of my car and told me, don't go.
Wow.
He told me, I had so many people say, don't leave. I was 21 and I moved to New York City with $200 in my bank account, and that was it. I had no place to live. I had no money. I had barely a job. But I knew that if I stayed, that I wouldn't be the person that I owed myself to become. And so I took a risk, and I think there's something joyous about being 21 and so advantageous about being I can conquer the world, and then you get hit with reality and realize that you have to do all the things that you said you had to do, which I will never take those moments for granted. Yeah. Those lows of oh shit, I really don't know that I can handle this. You end up being able to.
You said that this was something you owed to yourself. Did you have a vision of what you wanted to become or you wanted to be?
I have always said, even as a kid, anyone asked me what I wanted to be, I found essays from when I was in the 4th grade. What do you want to be when you grow up? All I've ever wanted to do was help people. I don't care what vessel that is or what avenue I have to take to get there. At first I thought it was dancing, and then that quickly grew into fitness and health and wellness, and honestly just talking to people and having the confidence to talk to people. So that's what I owed myself to become. I had to learn the confidence of standing on my own with no one around me and to prop me up and figure out what helping people actually meant for me.
What have you learned about yourself through this process once you made that decision to where you are today that you would not expect?
You're going to fail more times than you don't. And fail is a hard word, but you're going to learn more times than you don't. And I think that it's such a corny saying, but I say it all the time, that everything in your life comes to you for love or a lesson. And I will never, if I had to go back and if I could manipulate the story, I wouldn't change it, because that sounds like such a corny thing to say, but it's so true. I've learned the best parts of myself were from the lowest parts that I had to pry myself out of. All the crappy and shitty things that people threw at me, and the way that I could either dodge or hit and heal and get back up, those are the best parts. And going back, I don't think I would have ever thought that I would have had so many bumps in the road, because when I moved here, I was 21 and the world felt so bright and cheery and like rainbows coming out of my butt, and that's not true.
Right.
And I'm grateful that I came in without any feeling of jadedness. But now I feel a little bit more realistic in my brain.
I love that. I think that's a real good, honest answer, just because I think we do sometimes get a little bit more of the rainbows and all, and we have to remember the realistic side. Mm-hmm. One final question for you. I know you told me that you are proud that you are kind of a beacon for your other family to go, you can do this. There are people that have always wanted to make like a big change or jump like that. For someone that would be listening that would want to do that, but has been where you were when you started, what would you say to them?
Do it even when you feel like you can't. There's a saying that always goes around, do it scared, right? But I say, like, yeah, do it scared, but like, do it even when you feel unprepared. Do it even when you feel like you don't have all your ducks in a row, because I, for a long time, waited for everything to work out, for me to take the next step. But that doesn't really matter as much as the experience of you taking a step and stumbling and getting up, and you falling or you learning or you hurting, right? Those are the moments that I think I've learned more about myself, and I've developed more of my character and empathy and compassion for people. So like, don't be afraid to mess it up. It's gonna fall apart, and you're gonna be able to put it back together and probably rearrange it in a way that was probably better than you ever expected it to be.
I love that quote. If I stayed, I wouldn't be the person that I owed myself to become. What in your world and life is wanting to come out that you owe yourself to become? Maybe it's a job change, a move to another city, maybe nothing that drastic. Maybe it's just being a better partner or a family member, even just 1% better to someone in your own life. The beauty of recognizing that is that it becomes more than just about you. It's about adding something to someone else's life. By living your best authentic life, you help others do the same just by being you. Whether you're encouraging them to go do something big or just doing something a little extra that makes them smile. That is powerful. Think about that question and let me know what comes up for you. What do you owe to yourself? I'd love to hear about it. Let's chat. You can slide into my DMs on all those evil social media channels. Instagram's the best way, @GoMeetAStranger, or also my personal one, @MattHayes. Thanks for taking a minute to meet a stranger today. Until next time, I'm Matt Hayes. Onward.